Welcome to Elevate Springfield, where we will dive into strategies and stories that help you rise to your full potential. Each episode, we'll talk about how you can take intentional steps to elevate your life and your business while making a meaningful impact on those around you. Along the way, we're going to bring in the change makers from our community that are already elevating. We'll bring the actionable strategies, you bring the discipline and follow through, and together we can elevate Springfield.
All right, let's go, Springfield. Time to 10X, time to level up. Hey, you are listening to the Elevate Springfield podcast, coming to you from the Big Dog Construction Studio in beautiful downtown Springfield. Robert Farrell here, certified 10X coach, speaker, and mentor, here to bring you actionable strategies. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together we're going to elevate Springfield. Well, hey, you are listening to the Wellness Upgrade on Elevate Springfield, where we're going to bring you specific strategies to help elevate your health and wellness. Hey, if you're not elevating your health and wellness, you're not going to be able to elevate in all other areas. This is the baseline. You know I'm passionate about it, and you know that's why I brought this segment to Elevate Springfield. We want to thank our friends over at Shudokan Karate Club here in Springfield. Sensei Dennis and his team, over 50 years in the Springfield area. Traditional karate, teaching self-discipline, confidence, community. Traditional, powerful, real. That's Shudokan Karate Club here in Springfield. Check them out. ShudokanKarateSpringfield.com. We're going to get right to our guest after the break.
When I first walked into Shudokan Karate Club, I was just looking for a way to get stronger, but what I found was so much more. Here we train in traditional karate, the real stuff, passed down through generations. Every punch, every kata has purpose. I've learned self-discipline, confidence, and how to protect myself. Not just in class, but in real life. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being prepared. This is more than a club, it's a way of life. Join us at Shudokan, traditional, powerful, real. Ki-ai!
All right, and we are back for another edition of the Wellness Upgrade. Dr. Sammie, welcome back, and how you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, remind everybody about your practice, about what you guys do before we get into the topic of the day here.
Absolutely. Yep. We have a chiropractic office in Springfield. We're a family-based wellness office, and we treat all kinds and all ages.
All right. So today's topic, all about blood sugar. So, in today's world, the rates of diabetes are absolutely skyrocketing, right? Mm-hmm. The average American diet could be a part of that, part of the reason why that is. But let's talk a little bit about who needs to check their blood sugar, what all that is about, how that leads to diabetes and all that good stuff.
Definitely. So I think as we kind of go through life and as we, have a family and we accelerate in our jobs and we do different things, the way that we treat our bodies kind of goes on the back burner a little bit. And so a lot of people will go to a primary care physician or a functional medicine specialist, and they're told that maybe they're pre-diabetic or full-blown diabetic, and they don't know where to go from there. Or sometimes modern day medicine will say you're pre-diabetic, you don't need to change anything yet, you're not full-blown. Mm-hmm. But if somebody was told they were pre-diabetic, they should hit the ground running with that and really change their lifestyle and what they're doing so that they don't have to deal with that later on. That is something for most people that can be reversed, that can be handled without drugs and medical intervention. So I think if you were somebody that is chronically running and stressed and busy all the time, and you're kind of grabbing processed food, fast food, you're holding on to weight more than you would like, you have vision changes, you are irritable, you're thirsty, you feel like you can't get full, you can't be satisfied. All of those things are reasons to maybe get checked out and have some blood work done. Then if your blood work does come back that you're pre-diabetic, there's just a few simple things that you can do to slowly start to monitor that. So a lot of times I tell people, usually after people eat, they kind of sit and converse or they're on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. It would be a complete world changer if after we ate, everybody went for a 10-minute walk. When I was younger, that's like what our family did. Everybody, after you eat, you go out and you go for a 10-minute walk. That's not really the norm anymore. But if you can just get yourself up and go for a walk, that would really help level your blood sugar after you've eaten. Another thing that's really easy to monitor, and it seems kind of bizarre, and like maybe not everybody needs to do this. I've started doing this a couple of years ago just because I think it's interesting to gauge your blood sugar and the spikes in it based off of what you eat. And certain people are affected by certain things. So you can buy a glucometer from Amazon for, $20. And I know it scares some people to prick their finger, but you do it a couple times. It's not a big deal at all. It takes 20 seconds to check your blood sugar. I was just kind of curious. I didn't have any reason to. I just wanted to know, like, when I eat this breakfast, what does it do to me? When I eat this lunch, what does it do to me?
I've heard a lot of people doing that, especially people that are in the biohacking field and everything, just starting to do that.
And with Oura Rings now, they have one that you can wear, which I don't do that because I check my blood sugar, but you can wear it and then you can upload your meals. You take a picture of it and it tracks your blood sugar and throughout the day and what happens with stress, what happens with the meal that you ate, and it kind of tells you what to avoid and what to continue doing. So it's pretty interesting. So if you can just take your blood sugar, first thing in the morning, take it right when you wake up, and then take it 2 hours after you eat is usually a really good way to monitor it.
Okay. So what does that do to the body, having those blood sugar spikes? What is happening inside of your body?
So obviously, if you're eating something sugary, if you're doing something, that's kind of the blood glucose level that's spiking. And it's not a bad thing. It's a common thing. With most food, no matter what you eat, you get these kind of spikes and then it levels out afterwards. The problem is a lot of us are eating sugary things or really carb driven things instead of just like a balanced plate. If every plate could have protein, a small amount of healthy fat, a small carb of some sort, and a large portion of vegetables. I'm not against that. I think even if you're diabetic, carbs are not a huge devil. They just need to be in moderation like anything else. So whenever you eat something sugary, it causes this huge spike, and then which in return causes a huge crash. And then that's when people get that feeling of like sick or, tired or just not feeling well.
Let's take a step back just so everybody's explain diabetes type 1 versus type 2, just so everybody knows.
Yep. So type 1 is something that you can't really help. That's an issue with your pancreas in itself, that most of those are insulin dependent. Those are the people that kind of wear the pumps or they do the injections. Type 2 is usually something that forms later on because of a not so healthy lifestyle and a not so healthy diet. That's not always the case, but that's usually what happens.
Sure. And that's why the rates have skyrocketed so much. It's probably gone right along with the diet going down in terms of the quality of diet.
Yeah,
and then
the diet goes down and the diabetes goes up.
Right.
You got it.
So what are some things that people can do? Maybe they're not checking their levels, but what are some things they can do to start preventing some of that decline?
Definitely. So it doesn't have to be like a big workout every single day, but and again, 10,000 steps is not for everybody, like we've talked about in the past. I get that, but that's kind of a good goal. If you're a desk job worker and you're sitting at your desk and you're snacking on processed foods, you really should be focusing on, instead of going to get a snack, going for a walk instead and getting something that's maybe not so processed, especially if you've been told that you're pre-diabetic or if you're starting to get some of those symptoms of prediabetes. You're kind of overweight, you're lethargic, you have no energy, you have no libido. It's all of these things are alluding to that something's not quite right. So if you go for, even if there's small walks, even if you have a 10-minute break, go for a walk instead of scrolling on your phone. So walking is really, really good. And just really moving your body is great for that. I don't mind that people snack. And I know it depends on who you talk to, that you should be having meals throughout the day and snacks in between every meal. But if you're somebody that's pre-diabetic, I really just want you getting 3 well-balanced meals a day.
Sure.
And another thing is I want you to really focus on portion control when it comes to that. A lot of people, after they have a meal, then they want to have something sweet. It's okay if you need something on the sweeter side, but try to, regulate how much sugar is in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think if you just get a nice, well-rounded meal and put it on a small plate, because then that kind of tricks your brain into thinking that there's more there. That's another thing, is you can't really be satisfied. You're constantly hungry. You feel like you have to eat. You always need sweets. But if you can kind of trick your brain into thinking there's enough food here, it looks great, there's plenty of X, Y, and Z, and then you're not craving that afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think I've told you before, I've cut out all sugar except for fruit. But
Mhm.
one thing I'll have is after dinner or something, I'll have some coconut yogurt with some blueberries in it and stuff
Yep.
like that. It's
Yep.
delicious.
Sweet too.
Yeah, still sweet and it's delicious.
And it might be hard in the beginning to kind of break that because you're used to this just really terrible for you, sugary dessert, whatever it is. And our brain recognizes that. And have you seen those studies where people who have sugar versus people who have had, like, let's say, a drug that they're addicted
Yeah,
to?
like sugar
they're-
versus cocaine or something
The
like that.
brain lights
Yeah.
up very similarly. And so, just like anything else, you kind of have to taper off of that. So, it might not just be like, I'm never eating something sugary again. Start cutting back on that and then kind of shifting into something that's maybe just a little bit better for you. And then it's funny, once you do that and you have something sugary, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. Like, I can't believe I ate this every night. So it really changes how your body processes that type of food. And then you don't want it as much anymore.
No doubt about it. And I will attest to the walking after meals. That is a big thing.
Mhm.
So I typically do that after dinner and after lunch most times too. If I don't do it, I can tell a difference.
Yeah,
how my
you
body
kind of get that
feels,
slump and you
like
feel
I'm more
bloated.
lethargic than I would have been if I would have just taken, like I said, it doesn't have to be long, 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
Get moving.
Right.
And then you feel lighter. It's what it is.
It's so true.
So yeah, and you talk about snacking. I'm probably a little predisposed to being a snacker.
Mhm.
I always have been. So
Yep.
so I've
Too.
just changed the snacks,
Yep.
right? So more vegetables as snacks,
Mhm.
rather than junk.
Yes.
So,
And that's kind of going back to technology is amazing because you can find a way to make, I mean, like cottage cheese is very trendy right now too. But you can find different ways to make really strange, maybe things that you wouldn't want to eat for a snack. You can turn them into really cool things now that
Mhm.
are healthy for you, but you don't realize that it is. So
yeah,
you kind of trick yourself into that.
So I know a lot of people try to get a lot of fiber. Some people say you should get a ton of fiber. Some people say it should be, moderated to this or whatever.
Mhm.
How does fiber affect blood sugar?
I think that it's hard because obviously it depends. I don't want anybody doing anything without talking to their doctor or their whoever they trust with their health, because there's certain people who should not have high amounts of fiber. But for the most part, we don't have enough. Like the average American hardly gets any fiber. And that's really good for some of this hunger control and some of this blood sugar regulation too. So that's kind of nice in the morning. If you, like, for example, if you can have some type of fiber mixed with a protein. So let's say you're making something and you throw 2 tablespoons of chia seeds on it, or if you can't taste those, they're wonderful for you. They're cheap and it's a great way to get your fiber in the morning. And then you don't have to try to get all this fiber in every single meal. You can just have some of it scattered throughout the rest of the day. So that's good for blood sugar regulation too.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people think that eating healthy is a lot more expensive. But if you go down that road where you're buying bulk foods and things like that, I mean, some of those basics are not that expensive at
No,
all. And
they're
they're
not.
so much better.
We overcomplicate it so much. It's not that deep if you just kind of just keep everything simple. And it can seem really overwhelming. Like there's all these topics, there's all these changes I want to make. Just pick one meal a day that you change it 1st. Just say for breakfast, I'm going to try this breakfast every single morning. And then you can monitor, if you are somebody that's monitoring that, see what that does to your blood sugar, how that makes you feel that day. And if it's something that's easy to make and it's affordable and it's convenient, you're going to do it again and again and again. If it's this big elaborate thing that you're trying to pull together every day on top of keeping your, family alive and doing all these things, it's not going to happen. So just simplify one meal, then pick the next meal to simplify and go from there.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people go to the store and they want to try to get something to take the place of something they used to eat, like a quote unquote healthier cookie or something like that.
Exactly.
And those typically are more expensive than the regular cookies.
They are.
But if you just are getting vegetables and fruits and some meat, some beans and some grains, it's really not that expensive.
It's not that bad. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
absolutely. So any last minute things people should be aware of when it comes to blood sugar? Any do's and don'ts?
I think just try not to overcomplicate it. Start listening to your body. Really take note after you eat something, how you feel, how it makes you function throughout the day, and kind of going from there.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Sammie, always a pleasure. Always great stuff.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time. We're going to let Sammie get back to elevating Springfield, y'all. But for the rest of you, be right back. Hey Springfield, when it comes to reliable, high-quality roofing, you don't want to leave things to chance. That's why you should reach out to Acosta Angeli Roofing, your local roofing expert, serving Springfield and surrounding communities. From quick, dependable repairs to full replacement, from residential to commercial, they are your trusted pros. Call them today at 217-993-2748 or visit their website to book your free quote and inspection. Don't wait. A little leak now could lead to major damage later. Trust the local experts, protect your home, and get peace of mind with Acosta Angeli Roofing. Well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Hope you're enjoying these quick hits of actionable strategies here on the Wellness Upgrade on Elevate Springfield. Thank you again to Shudokan Karate Club. Hey, take what you learned today. You bring the discipline and follow through, and together, that's right, y'all, we're going to elevate Springfield. Be great.
Looking for expert tree care with hometown integrity? Look no further than Sangamon Tree Service. They're your trusted local pros, delivering quality workmanship, exceptional customer service, and fair, honest pricing every time. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, their team brings professionalism and care to every job, big or small. Call the name your neighbors trust, Sangamon Tree Service, or visit them today at sangamontreeservice.com. Sangamon Tree Service, rooted in quality, built on trust.